For you investors and house hackers out there, you're about to see an increase on an already hefty fine within the city of Denver. This new fine directly affects anyone who has a lease agreement over 30 days, so buckle up because we're about to see some steep costs on any violation of Article 8, and we're going to go over the rules of having a rental property in the city and county of Denver. And yes, to those not interested, this is going to sound as bland as reading the dictionary, but to y'all who don't want to get fined and lose your cash flow, this video is muy importante. And first things first, I want to make sure you're providing safe, affordably priced, and welcoming rentals for the Denver community. You don't want to be a slumlord. I don't want you to be a slumlord, and the city of Denver definitely does not want you to be a slumlord. So the city of Denver prevents any sort of shenanigans by recently administering a necessary Denver rental license for those that have rental properties. And this includes an inspection done by a Denver certified inspector. And if you're watching this with a renter in your property right now, it means you need a residential rental license. I mean, granted, it's not super complicated. I've worked with several inspectors and had my clients pass every rental license checklist, and you can even take a look at the checklist online, but here's a snapshot right here of the checklist, and you could pause the video to check it out if you want. And if you really take a look at the list, there are some really basic stuff like hot water minimum temperature of 110 degrees, or lighting in the halls and stairways, or free of pest infestation, or hitting the like and subscribe button so you don't miss any more Denver investing advice. Any sensible homeowner in general would get approved for the Denver rental license, although most people have to update their smoke and carbon monoxide detectors and have a fire extinguisher to get approved. The cost for the application itself is about $50, but getting the inspector out there for an hour of their time may differ depending on the inspector. Now, story time. I had a client not too long ago rent out his other 2 rooms in his 3-bed home, and he was making a good amount of money on the home, but he wasn't exactly vibing with one of the tenants. My client did some research online and found that landlords had to give the option to the tenant to extend the lease in the state of Colorado. It was a big bummer because even though the tenant was paying on time, the chemistry of the living situation was off. And after doing some research myself, you do have to have a rental license for renting out your home or like rooms in the home, but because it's your primary residence, you do not have to extend the lease. I mean, it's your home. Imagine having a room rented out in your home and being forced to have a tenant stay in your home if they wanted to keep the lease extended for an indefinite period of time. And no, it does not work like that. You can decide to not extend the lease on the tenants within your primary residence. And so once you passed all that and you did the rental inspection, you got the rental license, you are ready to rent out your home, right? So not quite. And for this next section, let's get into section 27-203 and the main point of this video. So this new bill, section 27-203, is proposed to be added to Article 8, stating that any person who violates any provision of Article 8 of Chapter 27 is also subject to a civil penalty of not more than $5,000 per violation per day, notwithstanding any provision in this code. And what is Article 8? Well, it's related to the residential rental licensing and or housing regulations, and it increases the maximum amount of fine per violation to $5,000. And by the time this video comes out, a hearing will have occurred on October 28th talking about the increase in violation fines. And I will be there, and if you're interested in the outcome, shoot me a text or give me a call to talk about managing your properties. Okay, I know this sounds a little scary, but let's look at what's required under Article 8 of Chapter 27. And like I mentioned before, a license is required for any residential property, whether it's an apartment complex, multi-unit home, single-family home, townhome, or even a condo. So yeah, make sure you get up to code and get it updated if necessary. And these licenses expire 4 years from the issuance or when ownership of the property licensed changes from the person recorded on the face of the license. Basically, if you purchase a new property, you'll need to apply for a new rental license. So I'll say it again, these rental licenses cannot be transferred, and these applications to obtain a license for the property can be referred to other appropriate city agencies like the CDPHE, the Public Health Administration, zoning administration, and the building inspection division, etc. Now, there is an exception for newly constructed rental properties, and these newly constructed rental properties are exempt if the application is submitted within 4 years after the date of issuance of the certificate of occupancy or temporary certificate of occupancy Basically, newly constructed properties have 4 years to submit their rental license application. Okay, to be clear, this does not include a short-term rental license qualification and inspection. It's a much different process, and there are more rigorous criteria to pass in order to operate an Airbnb in the city of Denver. So for example, it must be considered your primary residence and you must live in it over 50% of the year. And having this particular criteria is completely fine for house hackers. And that's what I did with my second house hack. So me and my wife lived in the basement and operated the main floor as a short-term rental, cutting my mortgage by more than 70% and making living expenses so much more affordable. And if you're curious about the whole process, hit me up. All my contact information is down below in the description. So let's summarize everything here. I do not want you to be fined $5,000 per day per violation, so let's go over it all here. So number 1, confirming your license status for every rental that you own. Keep licenses current and posted where required, and include license number in the listings. Like if you were to put it on Zillow, put the rental license number in the description. Always document compliance with inspections and promptly correct any violations. And then also provide required tenant materials and follow application and fairness rules. And lastly, maintain basic life safety items like smoke detectors, water heaters, and the like. So keep up the good work out there, investors and house hackers. I'm trying to be a good role model for those who want to reach financial independence and retire earlier than 60 years old, and also provide great living situations for the community of Denver. So if you have any questions, comment down below or shoot me a text or give me a call. All my contact information is down below in the description. Like I mentioned before, I am walking the walk and talking the talk, always house hacking. It's the best way to make sense with how high these costs are with the living situations. So thanks so much for watching, especially all the way through. You are a real one. I'll see you next week.